Are you the biggest star in the beluga world? You're the biggest star. Ever wonder what it's like to be a beluga whale trainer? Well, my name is Kaitlyn. I'm a beluga whale trainer here at Mystic Aquarium, so come along with me for a day in my life. Being a marine mammal trainer means sometimes getting really cold. So we're actually in our fish freezer and thaw box, which is why it sounds a little bit loud right now. This is actually where we store all of our frozen fish, and then when we are ready to thaw it for the night, we come out here and put it on these shelves. And then we come and take 2 carts and bring it back to our fish kitchen, where we're going to prep all of the fish for the animals to eat for the day. So I'm actually a part of the fish management committee. Part of my job is to come down to the freezer every day and make sure everything's labeled and stacked appropriately in both our freezer and the thaw box. So a big part of my day as a trainer is, of course, fish prep. So fish prep's really important to making sure our animals are getting the daily nutrition that they need. So an animal's diet is based off of a couple of different factors. Of course, what species they are, whether they are male or female, and what time of year it is. In the winter time, our whales are going to eat a lot more fish to pack on a lot of that blubber to keep themselves nice and warm in the really cold seasons. In the summertime, just like out in the open ocean, they'll eat less calories because they don't need to stay as warm. A big part of our fish prep here is making sure that every single fish that we feed is suitable for our animals. A big rule of thumb that we use is if we wouldn't feed it to a human, we do not feed it to our animals. So we check every single individual fish usually about 3 times before it ever reaches the animal's mouth, which can take a lot of time, but it's really important to making sure it's good quality. And on top of being restaurant quality, we also make sure that the fish that we feed is sustainably sourced. While our animals are really well fed here at Mystic Aquarium, we want to make sure we're not contributing to overfishing issues, because that's an issue that plagues a lot of marine mammals. So we make sure that all the fish we feed comes from a healthy population. And if that population is not doing so well, we move on to a different one. These are the fish that I've sorted out of Kila's bucket that I'm not going to feed to her, but that does not mean that Kila's going to be missing this from her diet. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and replace it with fish that we have that's going to be acceptable to feed to her. But that does not mean that these fish go to waste. Instead, we will save all of this fish into special buckets that a fisherman actually comes to pick up and uses for his bait. Coming in with a brush, guys. As a beluga whale trainer, my morning usually starts with habitat maintenance. Now this involves making sure our beaches are clean and disinfected, so a lot of hosing. It also includes a lot of brushing with these really long poles to make sure we're reaching the bottoms of the habitat. This habitat in particular is actually the largest outdoor beluga whale habitat in the United States. It has 750,000 gallons of salt water and various depths to mimic what the beluga whales would be living in out in the open ocean. So you can imagine my morning as a beluga whale trainer can be quite busy cleaning all of this. Maintaining a clean environment is a really important part of keeping our whales nice and healthy. Every morning we come out here and we disinfect our beaches with a food-grade, animal-safe disinfectant. Now you may be wondering, why do we disinfect our beaches if our whales, of course, do not come up on the beach? Well, our buckets come onto the beach, we're walking on the beach, so we want to keep it nice and disinfected. That way there's no chance for cross-contamination. This here is Kaitlyn. Kaitlyn is just one of the many beluga whales that I have the privilege of working with. She is one of our oldest at 43 years old, and she's also one of the most vocal whales that we have here at Mystic Aquarium. So the biggest part of my day as a beluga whale trainer is, of course, our training sessions. During these training sessions, we are not just feeding the whales, we are working on really important behaviors. The most important being their medical behaviors, or what we call husbandry behaviors. One of those behaviors might look really simple, but it's very important, and that is called a layout behavior. Basically, I just ask Kaitlyn to lay her body out at the surface, and then I can get a complete view of it. Nice job, Kaitlyn. Another important behavior that we do with our whales for their preventative health care is actually brushing their teeth. So right now I have a bamboo toothbrush and some animal safe toothpaste, and I'm going to brush Kaitlyn's teeth. Healthcare isn't the only reason we train our beluga whales here. We also train them what is called enrichment behaviors. So enrichment is anything that helps keep our animals both mentally and physically stimulated. So that could look like a high jump out of the water, a speed swim around the habitat, or even some vocalization. All of those things help keep their sessions and their days really variable. Enrichment behaviors can also be a little bit more cognitively challenging for the animals. So while we are making sure their bodies are really well exercised, we also want to make sure their minds are as well. These are some of the things that I do with Kaitlyn every day to keep her brain active. We train our beluga whales here at Mystic Aquarium using positive reinforcement training. Basically what that means is I'm constantly communicating with Kaitlyn through different hand signals, and those hand signals are behaviors that I'm asking her to do. When Kaitlyn does a behavior correctly, I can do a couple different things. I can point at her to let her know, I could double tap her body, or I could use my whistle. All of those things mean the same thing, which is great job, you did the correct behavior, and now you're going to get rewarded with some fish. Let's go ahead and demonstrate these different types of bridges. Computer work is probably not what you think of when you think of beluga whale trainer. However, it's a really important part of our job to keep careful records of everything our whales do and eat. So every single time I feed a whale, after that session, I come back into the office and I take careful note of exactly what we did during that session. I'll also keep careful note of any medications that I gave that whale. That way our veterinarians are also informed of how the day went. Taking care of beluga whales is a lot of fun, but there's also a science to it. So at this point in my day, I'm actually going to be doing some observations on our whales. Usually what this means is just observing what they're doing in a 10-minute period and recording that down on the tablet. We also get a rest break during this time, which is just counting the number of breaths that they take in a 5-minute period, just so we have a baseline of data to go off of. One of the most exciting parts of being a beluga whale trainer is that I don't just train beluga whales. I also get to work with incredible animals like Snug here, who is a harbor seal. So we like to make sure we are cross-trained on different species. That way each individual animal is getting specialized attention from different trainers. While we take really good care of our whales here, we also want to make sure whales out in the open ocean are being taken care of as well. And how we do that here at Mystic Aquarium is actually with our 3 adult whales participating in voluntary research behaviors. These research behaviors can vary in many different behaviors, but one way that we contribute to research is actually by collecting beluga whale snot. So believe it or not, beluga whale snot is research gold. It tells us a lot about the health of a beluga whale, and it's really easy to collect. Our whales are actually trained to bring their heads up on the beach, and with just a gentle double tap next to their blowhole, they will exhale onto a petri dish, and that tells our researchers a lot about their health, but it's also a way that we can collect that information from belugas out in the open ocean. So our 3 adult whales will act as kind of a baseline for that information. Being a beluga whale trainer is definitely a dream job for me. It's something I wanted to do for a very long time. It's certainly a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours working weekends and holidays, but working with animals like this does make the job all worth it. Particularly working here at Mystic Aquarium is really special because while I get to work with incredible beluga whales every single day, I also know that we're contributing to a larger goal, which is helping out beluga whales in the open ocean too, and that's really special.